Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Well, welcome to another, you know what we do here on What's Next podcast for women. Every Wednesday I bring in some amazing powerhouse women. They come in and they tell you or talk to you about their what's next, as well as you hear their obstacles. You hear what they have faced, but guess what? They're still going after their what's next, no matter what. Man, my tongue is tied because I'm so excited about this guest, so apologize. But before I bring her on and you can hear her story and we're going to have some fun. In the meantime, you guys, if you have any questions, you know what we do. Drop them in the feed. I will read them to her and we can definitely talk about them here on the show. So real quick, I want to let you guys know today's Win Wednesday, right? What do? We celebrate our win. The win is a goal that you set every week. And how are you crushing it? Do you need help? If you need a little help, we're here to help you out. Just let me know how I can help you get to your what's next. And it's your goal for this week. If you don't have a goal and you're needing help setting a goal, let me know and I definitely will reach out to you. If I can't help you, like I tell you all, I got thousands of powerhouse behind me, such as one that's coming on, that can help you get to your what's next. So remember, don't let your I can'ts, don't let your what ifs stop you from going after your what's next. Hey, Elisa, thank you for joining us. As well as we got two more sponsors for this show. I'm so excited and so happy. And actually, the first one is sponsored by Hurt and Poet LLC. And actually, the CEO, Elisa Hurt, is on. If you are looking for a content writer who can flex your voice through the writing, she is your woman. Check her out. Elisa, if you can do me a favor and drop your website or your contact information so everyone can connect to you. But she is an amazing content writer. She does the content writing for my show and she does content writing for the magazine. So if you guys are looking for somebody who can come in and rock your content writing with your voice, but through the writing, Elisa Hurt is the woman. And with that being said, you guys, we also have, I'm going to introduce to you another amazing powerhouse. I always bring on women that are going after their what's next. And before I bring her on, everyone's like, someone has already texted me, well, why what's next? Well, I was sitting in a corporate job and I had no clue what my what's next was. I was totally, it's so off my game. I just lost myself. And I really had to break down until I figured out how to go after my what's next. And it took a lot of confidence and it took a lot of support. And I even started asking women, well, how come you're not going after your what's next? And it was because of their I can'ts. And it was because of their what ifs. And that was me. So now I've come on here. I give you my story. I connect you with other women that are going after their what's next. And you can too. So again, if you have any questions, comments, we want to hear from you. You know, we love the interaction. Drop them here. Drop them here or drop them below. I can't figure it out right now because I'm so excited. But we will definitely address them. And so without further ado, I have Katie
Axelson.
Thank you. Welcome, Miss Katie. How you doing?
Hey, thanks. I'm doing really well. How are you, Pamela?
Oh, amazing. I was so excited about you coming on. I was talking to my mom. I'm like, Mom, I gotta go, because she's always asked me every show, well, who's your guest? And I tell her who's my guest and tell her, tell her each of your stories. She's like, oh, I go, Mom, well, listen to the show or I'll come back. But I'm so excited for you to be here. So first and foremost, can you tell our guests, our listeners tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me today, Pamela. I really appreciate it. So I am a writer, a podcaster. I'm also a pastor, and I have a day job in a totally different field. So I kind of do a lot of different things. I have my hands on a lot of different plates, and it's just a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. So you're a pastor. Oh my goodness. So you're a pastor, and as well as everybody heard, you hear what she says. Now, If you think I'm busy, Miss Katie's triple busy. So don't get it twisted on, that I'm not busy. But look, she's still doing it, you guys. So you're a pastor. I love that you're a pastor. And so how long have you been doing the pastor? How long have you been in the pastor? Doing a pastor?
Yeah. So I graduated from seminary almost 2 years ago now. I'm not currently in a church, which confuses everyone. But honestly, I view a lot of what I do online as a ministry. So I host a podcast as well called Have Hope Will Travel. And then I use Instagram as a major ministry site. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook as well. So I view those as ministry sites for me because I'm connecting with people who might not come to church, especially right now. I was going to say it's 2020, but it's actually 2021.
I know. I've been doing it all.
I know, right? We're just going to call the whole pandemic 2020.
Exactly.
And people who might not actually normally go to church, or people who maybe are in a little bit of a weird place for church, or maybe they just need a little bit of encouragement as they're scrolling through Instagram. So my heart and my ministry is to make them smile. We host a feature called Wacky Wednesday, where every Wednesday we share some sort of funny story of what's going on. We've got new podcast episodes every other Monday, so new one coming out this coming Monday. And just look at what does it look like to encourage people, to help them take one step closer to Jesus.
Oh my goodness. We need that. I mean, look at what we're going through. Look what the world is facing as we are speaking, ironically, but sadly enough. So I'm so glad that you are out here going after connecting people to God. I totally believe in God. And if I would not even be here, I promise you, if it was not for him, I finally have to say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna give it to you and you just tell me what to do. And but let's be honest, there's so many times people are so resistant on even the connection or even get to knowing who he is or what he does that people are reluctant. Now, I didn't have the problem of knowing who he is. I was very clear that it was I wanted to do it myself.
Well, yes, I do that too.
I'm not going to leave. I wanted to do it Pam's way. And of course, that's when Pam was having the mental breakdown at work. And really didn't know where my what ifs was. And I didn't even know what my what's next was, honestly, until, I really had to say, okay, you know what? Let's just go ahead and see what you have for me in store. And we'll go from there. And now look where I'm at. I have my podcast. I have connection with all of you amazing women. And you guys have taught me a lot. So rock on. And you guys, again, and don't be ashamed of it. I think that's also a problem too. A lot of people are ashamed to say that they're connected to a God, that they feel that they admit that they're connected to a God, that makes them a less of a person, an individual, or people are judging them. But I'm gonna say this. So what? It's your life and you do what you have to do. No one can tell you what to do whatsoever. But I love the Wacky Wednesday. But let me tell you, we already have comments coming from all over the place. So let me get over here and let me see what we got going on. So we have Chandel says, hello, ladies.
Hi.
She says she loves your brand. Elisa says, hello, ladies. And let's see, Tekka says, hello, everyone. Let's see. Oh, Elisa says, hey, Kate. Hey, Miss Katie, that's impressive. Hey, Miss Evangelist, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a minute. Miss Evangelist Rogers, she says, blessings. Tekka says, yes, Katie. And Elisa says, I am because he is.
Yeah, that's a good word.
It's so true. And Chantel says, hello, ladies. Man, ladies, keep them coming. We love this. We love the hearts, the thumbs up. If you guys find this show is inspiring or empowering anybody, we always say sharing is caring. So share this out. And if you feel that they're needing more connection than outside of the podcast, drop it in the feed. We will definitely be in touch with you. So I love the Wacky Wednesday. Oh my goodness. It's going to be, so we're going to do that later on in the show. Love some fun things. But not only are you a minister, which I am so honored for you to be on my show, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
But I also you're also a writer. So what are you writing right now? What's some of the writings you've done?
Yeah. So writing has always been and always will be my first love in terms of work and in terms of creative projects, things like that. I have written 2 ebooks, well, technically 3 ebooks to date. 2 that are on Amazon. One is called Dare to Hope. and the other one is called Jesus Shoes. A couple years ago, I basically lived as a nomad missionary and traveled to 11 different countries over the course of a year. And Jesus Shoes is capturing 11 different stories from that season of my life. So when I got home, my donors and all my friends wanted to hear about my trip, but they didn't know how to ask about it. And so I gave them some suggestions, but they were always like, tell me everything. And I'm like, we could be here for years.
Right.
You tell me everything that happened in your last year. And so I picked one favorite story from every country that I visited. I visited 11 countries over the course of 11 months and wrote a book about it. And so that gave us conversation starters. It gave me a way to remember the time. It made a great donor gift because a lot of people supported me financially. And was just a chance to talk about what God is doing across the world, because we saw him do some marvelous things. And then the third book, it's a book, but I always put it in a different category in my head because it's a workbook that I wrote last Easter for Easter 2020. And if you remember, which I'm sure we all do, we were all sheltered in place for Easter.
Right.
And so we weren't having the big celebration that we normally have at church. We weren't having the Easter dinner with our whole family. And so I wrote a workbook walking through the Holy Week story and the Passion story from a different perspective and looking at it of the, like, what does it look like if we're having a different kind of Easter this year? And so that resource is available for free actually on my website on the resources page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys, I will definitely, you guys, oh my goodness. Let's go back to the story. I'm already intrigued. I'm like your friend. I've probably been in the room like, okay, guys, if y'all don't have to anything, I'm gonna ask her too. So I think that's so commendable that you did the missionary work and you went to 11 different places. So what was one of your favorite places and what did you learn out of that?
Oh yeah. So the favorite question is always a hard one because favorite in terms of like, was it prettiest? Favorite in terms of like, where did I see God move the most? Favorite in terms of which one do I want to talk about today? Favorite in terms of which people did I love meeting? All the things like that. But since your question was also in the context of what did I learn through that? One of my favorites and also one of the most heartbreaking was when I lived in Bolivia. I worked at a youth rehab center where I worked with boys who had been rescued off the street. And they were in a rehab center. They were sometimes detoxing. They were teenage boys. I mean, they really didn't have necessarily a positive female influence in their life. And so a couple of my teammates and I were that influence for them for a month. And it was so fun. It was so rewarding. We had to have a lot of conversations of this is not what you do. This is not what you do when you're talking to a woman. This is not what you do when you're talking to an authority figure. But we also had a lot of really fun conversations. I learned words in Spanish that I will never repeat from my street boys. But the story that I tell in the book is that one of them ran away. And on our way to church, actually, church became my least favorite. Sunday became my least favorite day of the week because of church. Because normally in the rehab center, the door was locked and you required a key to open it. But if they wanted to leave, they could. They just needed to ask, and it was kind of like they were leaving the program. Well, on Sunday, we all left the facility to go to church. And it was quite a long ways, and we would take a public bus and a taxi and just a lot of different things. And the boys would often seize that opportunity to run away. And so the church was awesome. I absolutely loved the church. I wish they had a podcast because I would still listen to their messages because they were great. But the boy who greeted me at breakfast was gone by lunch. And so just the heartbreaking story that was, and kind of processing through that and what does that mean? And then he'd left and rejoined the rehab center several times before. And so he was at the point where he technically wasn't invited back. And we ran into him on the street one day. Hi. And so just having that heartbreak of, you're better than this. Like the Lord has called you to be more than this. Like you can change your life and we can help you do it, kind of thing. But to watch him not choose the rescue. And it makes me think of Jesus, of course, and how he offers us that same rescue. Right. And we can choose to accept or decline it. And we choose every day if we're accepting or declining the rescue from the Lord. And so just looking at that story and it breaks my heart. Especially because there was a point where we could overlook the city and just see the city of La Paz, Bolivia, which is, depending on how you look at it, the capital city, one of the capitals. They have two. It's weird. But you just look over the city of La Paz and you just think about all the boys who've run away over the years. Wow. And this one particular one that I know by name is down there somewhere. but I also know there are a lot more who've run away, and there are a lot more who need rescue. And so to just stand there overlooking the city, my heart would just break, and I just couldn't help but like raise my hands and pray over the entire city of La Paz. And then knowing that there were so many more like that.
Wow. Oh, that is amazing. See, I would be like your friends. Okay, can we have another story? We'll see.
Actually, out of that story, I sometimes partner with a ministry called Compassion, which works with child development, and they provide education, medication, Sunday school, all sorts of things like that to children living in poverty. And when I got home from the race and when I got home from my mission trip and then got a job so I was able to financially support it, I ended up sponsoring a second child. And I intentionally chose a boy who was about 9 or 10 in the city of La Paz because he was at high risk for becoming one of those street boys that was at my rehab center. And I wanted to kind of cut that off at the pass and see if I could give him a better chance at life before he even hit that point. And that was 5-6 years ago, and I still sponsor that same boy. So it's really fun to see.
Okay, so that was a good story. I love that. Look, I can hear some more. Real quick, Chantel says, "Hey, ladies." Shauna, hey, Shauna. Hope all is well. Take care of yourself. She says, "Hello." Alicia says, "Yeah, writer too." Because Alicia's a writer. Tekka says,
awesome.
Love that. Let's see. Alicia said, "Powerful." Tekka says, "Beautiful story, Katie. Thank you for sharing." I know, right? I told you, ladies. I'm trying to tell you, I have some powerhouse, and if you have a story, as she has a story, you guys need to go after it and do your what's next. So, Katie, let me ask you this. Okay, so now we've talked about you being a minister, being a writer. We talked about you still working in corporate, and you love, and I want all the women to understand, and you love working in corporate.
I do, absolutely.
So tell a little bit, because a lot of women are like, I can't believe there's not very many women that can honestly say they love working corporate. Let's be honest. And so if you have a woman that is on here saying, well, I love being on corporate, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah. So being a writer and having a day job a lot of times feels really hard because first of all, I'm working in the margins all the time. I'm always working on this project or that project. I use my lunch break literally to write for my podcast all the time. But at the same time, when you run in the writer spheres or the creative spheres, everyone's always talking about ditching the 9-to-5 and leaving your day job and replacing your income and all of that. And frankly, I think a lot of that's really toxic. Because for me, I love my day job, not just as security, like I actually love the job itself. And so I don't want to replace the income at this point in my life. I'm not looking to leave the 9-to-5. I absolutely love the 9-to-5. I don't always love working in all the margins. And sure, there are things that I would love to participate in that I can't because I'm busy from 9-to-5. But at the same time, I don't need to be listening to the constant, like, leave your day job. I can love them both and they can sit in both hands and they're not at odds with each other. You can do both.
And that's good because I don't know if you come across, but I do come across a lot of women that can't understand you can have both.
Yeah.
I feel it's like it's either or. It can't be both of it.
Right.
So that's why I wanted you to come on, especially we're at the beginning of the year and women can start connecting to, okay, what am I going to do? Because obviously, as you all see, COVID isn't going anywhere no time soon. And even if it goes away a smidgen, it's still going to not to be the same where we were.
Yeah.
So now we have to be honest and then we have to be real. Okay, it's time to be honest with ourselves. And if you love corporate, that is nothing wrong with it. There is no shame. And that's why I wanted you guys to hear Katie's story of there is no shame for you to love it. There's many women more. There are many more women out there that loves their job, but also have, like Katie does her 50 other million jobs, the ministry and writing, but still loving it all. But also too, learning how to juggle it all.
Yeah.
And I feel also too, a lot of women cannot connect to the understanding that, okay, I can have it all, but how do I connect to it? How do I make it all work into my life? So you talked about working through doing it at lunchtime. What other ways do you do? What other ways do you work on your other jobs?
Yeah, it's a lot of knowing what you can handle and what you can't. So my podcast comes out every other week because I can't produce an episode every week and work 40 hours the same week, 40, 50, however many hours I'm actually working this week, right? We know how that goes. But I can produce a podcast every other week. And so I work for that. As a writer, one of the things that is hard is getting your rear end in the chair to actually write. So I strive to write 500 words every lunch break. I get an hour for my lunch break. It only takes me like 20, 30 minutes to eat, depending on what I'm eating. So that gives me 30, 40 minutes to write. And so what does it look like to see if I can crank out 500 words? And some days, like more than 500 fall out. And some days it's a struggle to get them done. But if I can get 500 words, you're going to write a book eventually. It doesn't actually take that long once you've got 500 words.
Oh, I love that.
Try to get 500 words out. And then the other thing that has been really helpful for me is presetting my social media content. Ooh. So I use a program called, or it's not really an app, a website, I guess, called Grum, Grum. And I can preset stuff on Instagram. And so my goal, I don't always achieve this, but my goal is on Saturday, I preset everything for the upcoming week. Right now, life is changing way too fast.
Yeah.
I cannot preset anything for a week from now. I'm even contemplating Monday's podcast episode of, oh my gosh, what's life going to look like come Monday? But my podcasts are all transcribed, so I need to get it to the transcriptionist tomorrow.
Right.
I got to record something.
Right.
And like, so there's a little bit of stress with that right now. But at the same time, like, what truths of scripture are still going to be true on Monday, regardless of what happens.
So true. So true.
And so trying to focus on that. And then just getting stuff. I feel like I have to get ahead in order to not always feel like I'm behind.
Yes.
That was the silliest sentence I've ever said in my life.
No, that's
that one.
No, but I'm with you though, because I'm like you know, I'm still working in corporate. Yeah. I run the podcast. Now I do the podcast every week.
Sure.
And then I also not only do the podcast, I have a magazine.
Sure.
And so you're absolutely, I love though, and I'm going to really incorporate in, I promise you, you have, the button has really came off where you had talked about trying to write 500 words at lunchtime. I am going to incorporate that into my daily schedule. I'm putting it on my phone as soon as we get off.
Do it.
I am doing it. So you guys, Katie is dropping some amazing nuggets. Look, we are getting messages all over the place today, Miss Katie.
Love it.
Let's see. Elisa's saying, you're right. I can't say that. Chanel says, I totally agree with you. She also says there's nothing wrong with keeping a day job and working for yourself. I did that for the first year I started my business. So true. Kudos. Elisa says, that's wonderful. I applaud those who actually love their 9 to 5. And there are. There's so many women out here who love it. Tekka says, great tips. We have here, Janisha. Denisha says, what advice would you give someone who desires to keep their day job, however, struggles to maintain their extracurricular activities without overwhelming themselves? So Katie, you get that one, and then I'll come behind you and give her another tip.
Yeah. It's know your limits and then start somewhere. So I have a list of things that I would love to do for my podcast, for my website, for all those things. I can't do them all at once. I can put them on the list and then I can take them on one at a time. And once I feel like I've conquered one, then I can move on to the next one. So like overhaul my website was on the list for like 3 years and I just didn't have time to do it. And then over Christmas break, I had a little bit of time. And so I was able to install a new theme and I put some new pictures up. I still have pages that I need to rewrite or update or anything like that. Like as I was talking about the Jesus shoe story, I realized I don't think I actually have the link to that on my website right now. I'll fix that tonight. But like you need to start somewhere and then not try to do it all at once. Let it go little by little and then pull people around you who will help. When I started hosting a podcast, I really wanted it to be accessible to everybody. And I knew that transcribing it was going to be one of the ways that it became accessible to everyone. But I also knew I did not have the woman power to be able to produce a podcast, host guests, get it on all the podcasting sites and just everything else, market it, all the other things that go along with a podcast and transcribe it. And so I asked one of my friends, I was like, hey, would you be willing to transcribe this for me? And honestly, I never thought she would say yes, and she did. And we are a year in, and she still transcribes every single episode. And she does it with diligence and with excellence, and she puts just as much care into every episode as I do. And so it's awesome to see my friends come around this ministry because that's really what we view it as,
Right.
just to support it and to offer what they can.
I love that. And so I'm with Katie. You know, we are living a life is crazy, right? But you can't do it all. So first of all, stop beating yourself up of what you can't do and worry, like Katie says, do one thing at a time. You know, back in the days, we always used to hear about people, oh, I can multitask, multitask. Multitask does not always work. You know, just work on the one thing that is important to you, make time for it. And then, as Katie says, and that's what I tell my clients, you make a list. And as you make your list, I have them make a list of everything that they want to do. And they are then to sit down and they are going to categorize or number which ones are important. Then the ones that is important, they each get so many minutes to work on. And after, they move on. If you don't finish it, it's okay. Just note that you are working on it and take it one item at a time, one project at a time. And also set baby goals. I mean, we all have these huge goals to try to accomplish. What's the likelihood of you reaching a huge goal versus if you take small, tiny goals, set small, tiny goals, what's your likelihood of accomplishing them goals? And I'm with Katie. Don't beat yourself up. If you don't achieve it in that time, okay, it's still there. Work on it when you have time, but just make sure you work on it for 5 minutes a day. That's 5 minutes that you're working on that goal that is important to you. And lastly, know the goal is important to you, not to everybody else. So circle yourself with the people, as Katie did, that helped her get her goals achieved, and you do the same. So Kanisha, I hope that helps. Hello, Carolyn. Thank you for joining. I hope that helps. Kanisha, if you have any other questions or anybody else has any other questions, drop them in the feed below. This has been so fun. I hope you guys have got your pen and paper out because I promise you, Katie has dropped some nuggets for you. If you have any other questions, drop them in the feed. We still, you can still drop them. Let's see. Alicia says, and ask for help when you need it.
Yeah.
That's because that's one thing that we as women think we have that Shira power and we don't need help. But when we do, and think, Walmart has help. Okay. McDonald's has help, meaning they have all these thousands of people to help them to make their dreams and goals successful. So I hope that helps. So we're going to take a really quick break right here. And then we're going to do Wacky Wednesday with with Katie. But real quick, everybody, I wanted everybody to know that the second half of the show is actually sponsored by What's Next podcast. The podcast where we come in and we are empowering women to go after their what's next by conquering the what ifs and I can't. So you hear us every Wednesday here at 8 p.m. If you guys are new to following us, please share, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over. I'm trying to think of all the different platforms because I'm trying to get you out, trying to get our message out that we're here to empower, inspire you to go after your what's next. And we do it on the fun side. I mean, look, we're having so much fun. Time is going by super fast. Like, it's just crazy. But I hope you know that we are here to support you and helping you to get to your dreams and your goals and visions and all that. And tonight's amazing co-host, she is still working in the corporate world. So know that you can still work in corporate and have your side businesses going. Okay, Miss Katie's got a lot going on. I thought it was me, but she's got a lot. She is a minister, she's a writer, she's a publicist. She's doing it all, ladies and gentlemen, but she's doing it and she's loving what she does. So those of you who are still working in the corporate world, but you don't know how to get to your what's next, drop it in the feed because it is possible and it is doable. And you see, Katie's doing it. And she's rocking it, you guys. So, Miss Katie, it's Wacky Wednesday. So tell us a little bit about Wacky Wednesday.
Yeah, Wacky Wednesday started when I was in college. A lot of really funny things get said when you're in college. Like, let's just be real. And so I started writing them down. Excuse me. And I was searching for blog content and I started just posting the ridiculous things that people actually said on my blog. Like, they were just usually little one-liners that you're like, that actually got said in conversation. And none of my friends ever wanted to be featured in Wacky Wednesday, but they all wanted to see each other featured, which made it even more fun. So sometimes people would send me wacky things that somebody else said just to get somebody else featured in Wacky Wednesday. So we had a lot of fun with it. As it turns out, though, really funny things are said in college dorms. Less funny things are said in the corporate world. So at one point, Wacky Wednesday went away. And everyone was sad. And I just couldn't figure out how we were going to make this happen. I wasn't blogging the same way I was before. It needed to go away. And then I had a little incident in the grocery store that I'll tell you about in a minute, and decided to share it on my Instagram and Instagram stories. And everyone laughed at me, as they should. And they said, please bring back Wacky Wednesday. And so I said, okay. And this was like late 2019. And I feel like the Lord brought it at just the right time because, hey, we've needed Wacky Wednesday in 2020. I also quarantined with my parents because I'm a 30-year-old single adult who lives alone. And at the time, I didn't have internet at home either. And I thought this is not going to be a healthy choice for however long we are sheltered in place. So I quarantined with my parents. As it turns out, Instagram loves my dad. So every day kind of became Wacky Wednesday for a while. He's such a ham, but it's a feature that's come back. And some weeks, like frankly, last week, Wednesday, I didn't post a funny story because it didn't get up first thing in the morning and it would have been really disrespectful to post in the afternoon. So sometimes it happens that it just doesn't happen. But the goal is always to have something that'll make you smile, at least on Wednesdays, if not all the days.
I love it.
So the grocery store incident, my grocery store had just installed a new display for their peppers, like their green pepper, their bell peppers.
Okay.
And at least at my grocery store, they're sold by quantity, not weight. And so I wanted the biggest peppers because I want the most bang for my buck, right? Like efficiency matters to me. Every dollar counts, right? So this display is curved and the peppers are all like lined up on there. And the one that I want is not on the top. And I pulled it like I thought it would just come and the rest of them would say, no, it didn't.
Did it all fall?
It all fell. I toppled the entire display of peppers. And I'm like awkwardly like trying to catch them in the grocery store and like looking around to see if anyone saw it and rolling. There were a couple of peppers that hit the floor, but I caught most of them. I did not buy all of them. This was before coronavirus, so we were not as concerned about germs at the time. I just like put them back and like moved on. And I shared this story with the internet and they laughed so hard at me, as they should have. I was laughing at myself. And somebody reminded me of the time when I was in high school and I toppled a different display. Apparently I have a habit of doing this. We were at, I think it was Bed Bath & Beyond, buying stuff for my college dorm. So it's my mom and I at the store. And I had bought some of those plastic crates. And as we're in the checkout line, one of the crates was cracked. And I was like, I'm not going to buy a cracked crate. So the checker like rang it out and she's like, just go put it back and then get the right one. Well, the display was in the airlock entryway. I don't know if every part of the country has this. I live in Minnesota where it's like frigid cold outside. So you've got your like exterior door, exterior door. And then you've got this airlock and then you got your interior door. And they're both motion censored. And the crate display is in between them. So I set the broken crate down, and apparently the display shifted just enough that the corner of the back crate got caught on the moving door. So when I picked up the next display, the door opened again and the crate started toppling. And I like moved to catch it. Well, that just triggers the motion sensor door some more. And so like the door is going and I'm trying to like catch the crates. And every time I try to catch the crates, it topples more. There are literally crates all over the airlock. And I finally turned back to my mom and the cashier. I've destroyed the whole display. I finally turned back to my mom and the cashier and I'm like, I don't know what to do now.
Oh, so, that was great.
It's stories like that. Feel free to laugh at me because, well,
that is great.
Apparently don't leave me near your displays.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So let me ask you that was good. So as you're a writer, do you read? And if you're reading, what book are you reading right now?
Ooh, such a good question. Yes, I am an avid reader. I am always reading about like 6 or 8 things at a time.
Me too.
So people always ask, how do you keep them straight? You just do.
Look, I totally understand. Yeah, you figure it out.
I think part of it comes from the English degree where I had to be reading several things at a time because I was in several literature classes at a time.
Yes.
And sometimes I get them confused. Like there were 2 books I read back to back right around Christmas time that I was like, oh wait, this is a different author. But because it felt so similar, but usually they're different enough. Right now, I am reading Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. If you've not read Brene Brown, be ready to be beat up, but it's so good.
Okay.
I'm also reading, don't laugh at me,
Okay.
Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
I'm mad at you.
I reread Harry Potter every year and a half or so. It's not intentional. It's just I need something familiar that I know I'm going to enjoy. And once you start reading it, you got to go all the way through.
You're right.
Order of the Phoenix is rough because they are angsty teens. So I am taking it very slowly. And I also know that I don't have a lot of self-control when it comes to Harry Potter. So I limit myself to 1 chapter a day.
Wow.
One of my goals for 2020 is to incorporate more play in my life.
Okay.
And so what that's going to look like is a lot of my writing is nonfiction.
Okay.
A lot of my reading is nonfiction. It's just the world that I run in, but I want to incorporate more fiction. So my goal every day right now for 2021 is to either write, read, or watch some sort of fiction story. So that could mean a movie. I don't watch a lot of TV. It could be a movie or a TV show. It could mean read 1 chapter in Harry Potter. It could just be write some fiction that I never intend to publish, but just kind of fun to play around with. So those are the books I'm reading. And then there's a third one. What is it? Oh, I just started Inspired by Rachel Held Evans.
Ooh, is that good so far?
I'm like 1 chapter in. It's good. It's another one of those that's really hard. That's why, I mean, we've got 2 hard books in Harry Potter. So
okay. I totally understand. You got to balance it out.
Right?
Oh my goodness. I am reading The War. What is it? The War of Art. That is good.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Conflict of the inner self. Ooh, so I'm really doing that. And I'm reading, oh wait a minute. Oh, I have a new book that because some of my book team members were reading this book. Are you ready to say yes?
That looks good.
So I'm starting to read that. Look, I have it on Audible and I'm reading the book. That's how my mind works. And I can't even, I'm started all over on reading Profit First because it's all about money, bounce money. So I'm working on that to that. So too cool.
Yeah. It's always fun to hear what other people are reading.
Yeah, isn't it?
Recommendations. Yeah, for sure.
Too. Everyone's like, well, why do you always ask everybody what they're reading? And I tell everybody because reading expands your mind. And those of you who are wanting to be millionaires, billionaires, how many books do they read?
Lots.
A lot. And so you're graced with, Katie has said 3. I said 3. That's 6 right there that you're able to add to your library. But just a suggestion. Tekka said, amen. Alicia said, how adorable. And she said, funny story when you were doing the peppers. Right? I know, right? That is so funny. So before we wrap it up, I mean, our show is going by fast. I have to be back. This was fun. But before we wrap it up, what would you like to tell our audience before we leave?
Ooh, I've already told them lots of things.
Yeah, I know. So I hope you got your pen and paper because she dropped some stuff on you.
I would say keep going. Whatever that looks like, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to keep doing exactly what you're doing, but keep moving forward, keep growing, keep trying new things, keep making yourself uncomfortable, keep having hard conversations, keep writing, keep going. Don't give up. Because not just because there could be something good around the corner, but because you matter and you're worth it. And so keep going in, and when you can't, know that we're standing around you and we're cheering for you.
Absolutely. I love that. So as you're working on 2021, you said your goal is to write a book. I cannot wait. So you have to keep us informed on how the book is going and let us know so we can share it with everybody.
Absolutely.
So then what is your win for this week? Since we're cheering everybody else on for their win, what is your win for this week?
This is kind of silly, but since it's just like this week's win and it's Wednesday, I donated blood today, which is something that I do regularly, but for some reason my iron's been really low lately, and so I've like tried to donate like 4 times and been deferred over the last couple weeks. So I was finally successful today. Which, as a frequent blood donor, like it's no big deal. Like I just walk in and they're like, "Yep, nope," and I'm like, "Okay, bye." Um, so it's not that big of a deal, but I feel like I've been working on this iron thing for a couple weeks now. So finally, having been successful. If you don't donate blood, it's so easy. Like it literally took me an hour, and I saved 4 lives.
Wow.
So the need is critical right now. So if you are eligible to donate, or even if you're not sure, like check it out. Red Cross is nationwide. There are a lot of local hospitals and other local donation centers as well. See if you can do it and give it a try. I'm a little sore. I mean, I don't really want to lift this hand. Well, yeah, whatever. But it's worth it to me.
I'm with you. You guys go out here and save some lives, and do what matters. I mean, it's so important. It's so important. Let's see. Elisa says this was great. She says, "Nice to meet you, Katie."
Nice to meet you as well.
I told you guys I'm bringing some powerhouse. Last year, you seen last season the way I'm stepping up my game to bringing in some more powerhouse. So she is amazing. She says, "As a leader, which role do you feel?" What do you mean? Which role? Kanisha, can you explain that a little bit more? We'll hold on here for a little bit. While you explain to me, you said, which role do you feel? What do you mean by that? We'll wait for you. But as we're going on, so my win this week is, like I said, connected with another powerhouse, amazing powerhouse. I thank you so much for coming on. This was so fun.
Super fun.
I know, right? I have to have you come back next.
Absolutely.
Again, especially when you do your book. We
Definitely
have to come back for the book. This was just amazing for you to be on here. I'm so blessed that you were able to come on here. We had an obstacle, but look, this was even better. It was all it was all meant to be. So I'm so thankful for that. And also, everybody, I know now you heard our wins. As we wait for Kanisha to write down what she was going to expand on a little bit more. What is your win? I know Carolyn, you're on, Alicia, Tekka, Shandell. Tell us your win. I mean, we're here. Why not tell us your win? Oh yeah, and Shauna, I seen you on here. Tell us your win, guys. We love cheering you on. As well as if those of you who are just now tuning in or just now catching What's Next podcast for women, definitely check us out the replay. If not the replay, you definitely can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well now Pandora Radio and Alexa. So you'll be able to hear Katie and I in it'll be in a little bit. I have to send this over for my producer to fix it up and make it all nice and pretty, but you will definitely be able to catch us on those different platforms. Let's see. Kanisha came back and says, your best fit in entrepreneurship, or she said entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. As a leader, which role do you feel you best fit in, entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship?
I'm thinking she's asking like day job versus creative work. Yes. So I sometimes have a hard time seeing myself as an entrepreneur because yes, I am doing a lot of different things, and yes, my friends sometimes have to tell me no, but I also just feel like I have a lot of ideas and I have a hard time getting them off the ground. So, and not every idea is a good idea that needs to be brought off the ground. But it's nice to be able to have both, because if things aren't going well in one, I have the other to lean on and enjoy more. Not lean on necessarily financially. My day job does that for me, but to give me some sort of fruit or some sort of little win so that I have a win every week. But writing has and always will be my passion. So there's definitely more life in that for me, but the goal isn't to replace my income with writing at this point.
Right. I would say for me, entrepreneurship, I have to say I'm with you, Katie. It took me a long time to even admit that I was in the entrepreneurship arena. I mean, it took me a minute to even first to understand what did entrepreneurship mean, right? And then understand what did it take to be in the entrepreneurship world. Everyone thinks, oh, you can start a business and it's like that. No, it's not. It takes a lot more. So it took me a really good she says, so you fit better in an intrapreneurship. So entrepreneurship must be multiple. Is that what you're saying, Ganesha? I think so. Let me know.
I would think entrepreneurship is inside someone else's
Also,
creation.
okay. But I also agree with you. The entrepreneurship did take me such a moment to even wrap my mind around what is entrepreneurship. And you hear so many people say, I'm starting a business, so I'm entrepreneur. And it's so much mind. She says no. So what do you mean?
Oh, okay.
So tell us what you mean. This is fun. Tell us what you mean.
Teach us.
Teach us. Or better yet, I can send you the link and you can come on. Do you want to do that with us? Let's see. I'm going to invite you, Kanisha. Now, we want you to come on. Look, let's see. Let's see if she can get it this way. I don't know, Kanisha, if you can get this. Try to click on here and see if you can get in, Kanisha. We'll see if you pop on a few minutes. But I have to say, I'm with you. I feel that it takes a lot for me to wrap my mind around. First, not only my mind, then I was expecting everybody to support me. You know, I'm one of those people that had the table, and I'm thinking everybody's going to come to my table and they're going to bring all the food. That's not true. That is was not true on everybody being coming to the table as I thought they would come to the table. But you have to learn, and you have to know who is your support team, which I am so happy to hear that you have your girlfriend that is doing your show notes, and that she stepped to the plate, because a lot of entrepreneurs, I have to say, I lost a lot of friends when I crossed over. And it took me that also was something traumatizing that had set me back, because I couldn't believe that, I'm everyone's cheerleader, but then it was time for my cheerleading. No, those weren't there. So I want everybody to know that, it's hard being an entrepreneurship, and understand what it takes to be an entrepreneurship, and circle yourself and your tribe to be the strong ones, and you're going to need help. Katie is an example. I have help. And don't take on this burden by yourself, because this journey is not just your journey; it's everybody else's journey. Well, I don't think Kanisha is able to join us, but Kanisha, drop it in the notes. We'll definitely keep chatting back and forth. I'll bring Katie in too, so we'll talk to some more. But I'm going to let her go, because I will be talking all day, and she'll be like, "Oh, okay, we're not coming back." Real quick, Alicia's win is guest on several podcasts in the next few weeks. That is amazing.
Good for you.
Absolutely. Well, Katie, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank you so much. You have been an amazing guest. I will hope you to come back again. We can do it. Hopefully we can hear another Wacky Wednesday kind of thing.
You can find one every week on Instagram at Katie Axelson. Pretty easy to find.
There you guys go. I'll drop it in the feed how you guys can connect to Miss Katie. I will put it on the notes and everything else. I want you all to know that I want you to all go out here and live the life that you want to live. Note that you only have one. So don't let it be used to someone else's advantage. Use it for your advantage. Live the intentional life as you're supposed to live it, and not for someone else. So take care of yourself. Know that you guys are amazing. And if no one has told you today, you guys rock. Until next week, you know how we do it. We bring on another amazing co-host with me. Until then, next week, everyone, take care and see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.